It's not a small market. It's a concentrated, high-income, high-spending market where B2B software commands premium pricing because the cost of inefficiency is extremely high. The second point is the GCC is not your ceiling. It's your launchpad. You have to see it like that. A company that dominates the GCC as the brand, the case studies, and the capital relationship to expand into Egypt, into Saudi's Vision 2030 ecosystem, into the broader MENA region, and ultimately into South Asia and Africa. Silicon Valley is not the center of the world anymore. And if you are building in Dubai right now, you are sitting on the most underestimated startup ecosystem on the planet. Give me the next 45 minutes and I will show you exactly why. With data, with names, with capital flows, and with the specific sectors where the next wave of billion-dollar companies will be built. I am Hedi Mesme and I have built businesses across 5 countries. I am currently building a fund and I spend my time between founders who are trying to get their first million and family offices who are trying to deploy their next 100 million. I see both sides of the table. Tonight, I am going to give you the view from both. Before we get into it, drop your country in the comments right now. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Cairo, London, Lagos. Let me see it. Let's enter now in the new episode of Let's Talk Business, UAE Unicorn Factory. Let me start with the number. In 2010, there were 0 unicorns headquartered in the Middle East. 0. In 2024, there were 23. By 2030, analysts at Wamda and Magnet project there will be over 100. That is not growth. That is a structural transformation. Now let me tell you what is actually driving it. Because most people get this wrong. They think it is oil money being recycled into tech. That is part of it. But that is not the whole story. The real story is infrastructure. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Riyadh have spent the last decade building the regulatory, financial, and physical infrastructure that Silicon Valley took 40 years to build. And they built it faster, with more intentionality, and with a direct line to sovereign capital that no other ecosystem in the world has. DIFC, ADGM, VARA, these are not just acronyms. They are the architecture of the new financial system. DIFC is now the 8th largest financial center in the world. ADGM has become the jurisdiction of choice for fund managers across the region. VARA made Dubai the first major city in the world to have a comprehensive, clear regulatory framework for digital assets. When regulators compete to attract capital and talent, funders win. That is what is happening in the UAE right now. And then there is the talent story. Post 2020, Dubai became the destination for the global mobile professional class. Founders from Europe, Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia, they relocated here not just for tax efficiency, but because Dubai is the most connected city in the world. You can reach 2.5 billion people within a 4-hour flight. No city on earth has that geography. Now let's speak about the sectors that UAE will support and is currently supporting, that I am anticipating to see becoming potential unicorns. So where are the unicorns actually going to come from? I see those 5 sectors. These are not prediction. These are observation from what is already happening. The first sector I see is Fintech and the unbanked people. 1.4 billion people in the MENA and South Asia corridor are either unbanked or underbanked. They have phones, they have economic activity, they do not have access to basic financial infrastructure. The company that builds the mobile financial stack for this population is a multi-billion-dollar company. It does not exist yet at scale. The regulatory environment in the UAE makes it the perfect base to build it. The second sector I see is the real estate technology. Property markets transacted over 100 billion in 2023. It's one of the most active, most international, and most data-rich real estate markets in the world. And it's still largely operating on WhatsApp groups and PDF brochures. The PropTech company that digitizes the transaction layer of this market will be built here, not in San Francisco. Sorry for the California lovers. The third sector I am seeing is logistics and supply chain. The UAE sits at the intersection of three of the world's largest trade corridors. Jebel Ali in the Dubai South is the ninth largest port in the world. The logistics technology company that optimizes this corridor, real-time tracking, AI-powered routing, or customs automation, is a company that scales globally from day one because the problem it solves is inherently global. The fourth sector I am anticipating becoming potential unicorn is the healthcare and longevity business. The Gulf has one of the highest rates of lifestyle disease in the world. It also has one of the highest per capita healthcare spends. The digital health company that builds preventive, AI-powered, personalized healthcare for this population has a 400 million person addressable market. Healthcare and longevity will be a big thing for the next decade. And the last sector I am seeing with a high potential to drive unicorns is education and human capital. The Gulf is young. The median age in Saudi Arabia is 29 approximately. In the UAE, it's a bit higher. It's around 32, 33. These populations are educated, ambitious, and underserved by existing education infrastructure. The EdTech companies that builds the professional development platform for the new economy workforce in MENA can reach 100 million people within a decade. And I speak about a minimum 100 million people. So knowing this, now let's flip to the capital side. Now I want to speak directly to the family offices and wealth managers watching tonight, because this conversation is not just for founders. It is for the capital side too. The question I get asked most often by family offices in the Gulf is, where do I put my money in 2026 that is not real estate and not public market? My answer is always the same. Early stage venture in the sectors I just described, structured through the right vehicles with the right governance. The return profile of early stage venture in emerging market is asymmetric in a way that public markets simply cannot replicate. If you get into a Series A company in the Gulf fintech space at a $20 million valuation and it exits at 500 million, which is not a unicorn, by the way, that is a very normal outcome for a well-executed fintech in this market, you have made 25x your money. That is not available in any other asset class. But the risk is real. Most early stage companies fail. This is a fact. The way to manage that risk is not to avoid the asset class. It's to build a portfolio. 10 to 15 positions across the 5 sectors I described, with proper due diligence, proper governance, and a 7 to 10-year time horizon. The family offices doing this well in the Gulf right now are not making big bets on single names. They are building systematic exposure to the ecosystem through funds, through direct co-investments, through advisory relationship with funders. That is the playbook. And if you want to know more, you are a family office and you want to know more, I highly encourage you to go and watch the live session of the last week. That was the 12 secret for family office to invest in early stage companies. Sorry to interrupt the podcast. I just want a quick shot. What we are talking right now in this podcast, this is exactly the kind of pattern I am documenting in the preparation of launching my book. So click on the link in the description to join the private circle. The book is coming in September. It will be full of insights. I am preparing something very, very valuable for you. So join, it's free. It's just one click and you won't be disappointed. So I wanted to address that and emphasize how the UAE is well positioned to drive the biggest amount of unicorns in the next decade because of the geography, because of the business infrastructure, and the forward-thinking vision supported by the government. Prior to this episode, I received few questions in DM and mails that I wanted to address live tonight because I think that worth talking about that, and that is totally aligned on the subject of tonight. So the first question is coming from Omar. He's living in Dubai. He's a founder and he's at the stage of a Series A in a SaaS business. The question is, Hedi, I am building a B2B SaaS company in Dubai targeting the GCC market. Every investor I talk to tells me the market is too small to justify a venture return. How do I respond to that? I think it was a quick question that has been asked because that's true. The country is small, and at some point, we won't see all the time the capital flowing in. So this is legitimate to think like that. My answer to Omar is, this is the most common objection I hear, and it comes from investors applying a Silicon Valley mental model to a fundamentally different market. First of all, I think the GCC alone is around a 2 trillion economy, larger than the entire GDP of Russia. It's not a small market. It's a concentrated, high income, high spending market where B2B software commands premium pricing because the cost of inefficiency is extremely high. The second point is the GCC is not your ceiling. It's your launchpad. You have to see it like that. A company that dominates the GCC has the brand, the case studies, and the capital relationship to expand into Egypt, into Saudi's Vision 2030 ecosystem, into the broader MENA region, and ultimately into South Asia and Africa. And the third point that I want to address to the question, Omar, is the investor who tells you the market is too small is the wrong investor for your business. Find investors who understand the MENA growth story. They exist, and they are in DIFC, they are in Riyadh, and they are in Abu Dhabi. You have to go to find them. The second question I wanted to address tonight is coming from Priya from Abu Dhabi, wealth manager at a family office. Asking me, we manage a multi-generational family office and we are being approached constantly by startups looking for investment. How do we build a proper framework for evaluating early stage deals without a dedicated venture team? This is also a point that I addressed in my last live, so I really encourage you to go to watch it. So my answer would be, most family offices in this position either say yes to everything or no to everything, and both are wrong. Here is the framework. First, define your thesis before you look at any deal. What sectors do you understand? What geographies do you have an edge in? What stage are you comfortable with? If you cannot answer those three questions, you will make emotional decisions. And emotional decisions in venture capital are very, very expensive. The second point to take into consideration is you have to build a deal flow filter. Every deal should pass 3 gates before you spend serious time on it. Does it fit your thesis? Does the founder have relevant domain expertise? And is the cap table clean? If it fails any of those 3 gates, pass quickly and politely. And the third point I think it's important to take into consideration is probably the most important. Do not invest alone. Co-invest alongside a lead investor who has done the full due diligence. Your first 5 to 10 venture investments should be follow-on positions in rounds led by established funds. You get the exposure, you get the learning, and you limit your downside risk while you build your own capability. So this is how I can answer your question, Priya, tonight. And the third question, very interesting also, coming from Riyadh in Saudi, Khalid. Khalid from Riyadh, serial entrepreneur, and building into the Vision 2030 ecosystem. With Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 pushing massive capital into startups and technology. So the question of Khalid is, with Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 pushing massive capital into startups and technology, do you think Dubai is at risk of losing its position as the leading startup hub in the region to Riyadh? And this competition point is very interesting to talk about. I love this question because it reveals a misunderstanding that is holding back a lot of founders and investors in the region. Dubai and Riyadh are not competing, they are complementary. Saudi Arabia has the largest economy in the Arab world, the largest population, and now the largest government-backed capital deployment into technology in the region's history. If you are building a company that needs to operate in Saudi, and for most B2B and consumer companies in this region, Saudi is your largest market, you need to be in Riyadh or have a serious presence there. But Dubai has something that Riyadh does not have and cannot replicate quickly: international neutrality. Dubai is where global capital comes to meet regional opportunity. It's where international talent lands. It's where cross-border transactions get structured. It's the gateway and not the destination. You have to print that in your mind. The smartest founders I know are registered in DIFC, operating in Dubai, and have a Saudi entity for the Saudi business. Use both ecosystems. They are not rivals. They are the two engines of the same machine. So let me close with this tonight. I have been building businesses for 15 years across 5 different countries. I have seen booms and I have seen crashes. I have raised capital and I have deployed capital. And I can tell you with complete conviction that the window we are in right now in the UAE, in the Gulf and MENA region in general, is the most significant opportunity I have seen in my entire career. The infrastructure is built. The capital is here. The talent is here. The regulatory environment is the most progressive in the world for the sectors that matter in 2026. The only question is whether you are going to be a spectator or a participant, and only you can decide. Silicon Valley had its moments. It built the first internet. It built the first mobile economy. It built the social media era. But the next chapter, the ownership economy, the tokenized economy, the AI native economy, that chapter is being written here in the UAE, in this time zone, in this ecosystem. The next 100 unicorns will not come from Silicon Valley. They will come from founders who understood that the center of gravity had shifted and moved accordingly. If you want to go deeper, the capital strategy, the sector analysis, the fund structure, the founder playbook, come into my private circle at edimesme.com. That is where I do the real work with people who are really serious about building. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Mesme. Follow the LinkedIn newsletter Fluent in the New Economy. All the link will be in the description. And I will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Let's keep building. I hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast. I am currently writing a book on how capital and founders actually work. Early insights in the description. If you want early access to these ideas, join this private circle. You won't be disappointed. Do not forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel, and thank you for your support.